Started. Thanks, Jacqueline. This is a meeting of the Community Recognition Review and Advisory Committee on Monday, September 18th, 2023. I want to welcome everybody here to the meeting today. I want to thank our staff for being here and Shelley for the work that you've been doing with our subcommittees. And I want to thank the subcommittees for the work that they've done to bring some information to us here today. Before we get started, we'll just go a quick roundtable here and just identify who you are. And you don't need to give your address, but that you're from Aurora. So can I start at my left here?
All Aurora. Joanne Spitzer here, 52 years.
Great.
Fiona Durant, Aurora.
And speak up. You got such a soft voice.
I don't.
Speak up into there so we all hear. Yeah.
Fiona Durant, Aurora.
On the screen, Linda?
Glenda Rackety, I'm from Aurora.
Yes. And Elaine?
Elaine Martini from Aurora.
Thank you.
Patricia Wallace, Aurora.
Thank you.
Shelley, my heart resides in Aurora, but my body resides in Barrie.
Shelley's our town staff. And great, thanks very much for that. I have to go through the, I'll call the meeting to order at 10:02 today. So the land acknowledgement starts every meeting that we have official in the town. So the town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territories of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands. And as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of how the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda circulated by legislative services, please? Patricia, yeah.
Seconded.
Joanne, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any questions or about the agenda? If there are anything and there's new business, we'll take it up under new business, if you don't mind. Thank you. Any declarations of pecuniary interests or general nature of those interests? Seeing none, we'll move along then. Thank you. The first, number 5, is the receipt of the minutes of the last meeting. That was August the 2nd. Can I have a motion to receive the meeting minutes of August 22nd? I can't spell we have our hand up. Elaine, thank you. And seconded by Diane. Any questions or errors or comments about the minutes of those meetings, Fiona?
On the minutes, and sorry that I wasn't here the last month.
Right.
So a question that I have, I don't know where to direct it, but in the subcommittees, where they're going to be reviewing the advisory committee to create a submit to review the nomination for the scoring options for 2024 awards. I have a question about how salient diversity was in creating the committee to make this for the scoring, and how was that implemented or considered?
Give me the question again. You said how.
So there's a subcommittee that was created to review the nomination form and scoring options. I'm not sure what the scoring options are, sorry.
Yep.
But it's for the 2024 award. And I wanted to know. Pardon?
It's on page 3 if anybody wants to know.
Oh,
Yeah, please.
so I wanted to know how salient is diversity and equity in the committee and how that was considered or thought about when we're creating the subcommittee for this kind of review for next year.
Not sure what you mean by salient, but the subcommittee was put together based upon the decision that was made at that time to form a subcommittee, and those people were elected on that subcommittee. So there will be a report on the subcommittee activity, but your question is really about the composition of that committee?
Yes,
Um,
yes,
The composition of the committee was made at that meeting. There was no call out for it because it's a subcommittee of the committee. So it has to be people who are on the committee. So those people who were here were offered a nomination. We had a number of nominations and then we had a vote on that. And so that's how that committee was formed. If you have more questions on it afterwards, and when the report comes up, maybe we can take a look at that, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the content of the report. So you can talk about the content of the report when it comes forward if you choose.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve those minutes? All in favor? Is that right? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Next thing, we have no delegations today, do we? Nothing's come up since these were put together. So under matters of consideration, we have a memorandum that regarding the Community Recognition Awards categories in the nomination form. And this came from Shelley after a discussion with subcommittees and the committee here. So if I can ask Shelley to discuss this, but can I get a mover and a seconder to put it on the floor? Diane, Patricia, thank you. All in favor? Great. Great, it's on the floor. So let's, Shelley, would you mind giving us the report and speak about it?
So through you, Mr. Chair. So the working group subcommittee did meet on August 31st. And the purpose and premise of that was to review the nomination form, history of nominations, do a really deep dive into why we had certain events, where the journey took us to from there. Based on that discussion, the nomination form has been really critiqued and overhauled. I did attach to this memo a version of the nomination form using track changes so that people could readily see where the edits were. Many of the edits were grammar and semantics. However, there was a big fundamental recommendation for this committee to consider, which would be the archiving of the Senior Volunteer Award, based on the perspective that the award could come across as ageist. As well, anyone that would be deserving and winning or deserving to be nominated for this award, when you looked at the individual nominations, they would and could have fit in any of the other award categories outside of the youth category award. That one, the working group committee did feel strongly that does stay with an age boundary in it. So what's being brought forward to the committee based on the deep dive and extensive research and discussion done is if there's consideration to not proceed with the Senior Volunteer Award for the 2024 program and onwards.
Anything more, Shelley?
I was being very concise.
I thought so too. Yeah, thank you for that. Just I didn't hear the end of it. So
Oh.
it's now ended. That report is
It's ended, so
Thank you.
open for thoughts.
Great. So now it's on the floor. So let's get some questions or comments on what was in that report and ask questions of Shelley on how it came to be, if there are some. And if not, then we'll call a vote. So let me put it on the floor for questions or comments. Anyone? Tricia?
I'll just say that I supported that, support that direction. When looking back, Shelley was able to tell us that that award has not been there for decades, like many of us might think, but it's only, I think, 3 years old.
Yeah.
And that it seems there were no criteria in that award other than that you be over 55 years old. So there was nothing there to say, did it support seniors? Other seniors? Was it for only seniors? And it seemed to be that did you have to do more because you're a senior to be deserving of that award, or could you have done less and still get that award? And that's where, for me, it seemed a little, well, quite ageist. And I think a senior who is who's doing work in the community is eligible, as Shelley said, for any of the other categories for their work, not specifically just and only due to their age. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Fiona?
So a question, are we saying seniors that were over 55 have never been nominated, or people over 55 have never been nominated for other categories?
Let me ask the question because I've had a notice down here about how seniors have been recruited. And so can you, Shelley, let us know what the numbers look like in the previous years when we've had these 3 years of nominations?
So through you, so based on the nominations, so none of the nominations on the form did we ask for age qualification except for the senior award and the youth award. So in terms of the nominations that came in for all the other awards, because we didn't ask for age, but in knowing some of the nominations, you know that there are many that were either over 55 or younger. A few years ago, we actually had a youth that won the Green Award. His age wasn't the factor for the selection of that. It was the contributions to Aurora. Now, I do have the nomination history going over back 5 years in terms of the number of nominations we get per award. And the senior award, the first year it was ever done was 2020. So we've had it for 20, 21, 22, and 23. First year we had it 4 nominations, 2021, 5, 2022, 10, and 2023, 6. However, if you look at all the others, so we had 70 nominations in 2023, 6 of them would have been just for the senior, meaning 56 minus the youth ones would have been in all the other categories. So if you have a senior that would qualify for the Arts and Culture Award, regardless of their age, they would fit in that award.
Okay. Through you,
Yes, thank you. Follow up.
with the follow-up question. So then, how do we consider it sexist to have that category, or should we be asking about renaming it per se? Because 55, we're going to Shoppers Drug Mart, we're getting our discount, is not sexist. So to Patricia's point, was it a redefined definition that we needed, a renaming that we needed? Because working closely with seniors, which I call Royal Mature 55, they appreciate certain acknowledgements, and maybe certain criteria could be different when you talk to them with, so have we considered surveying them to see if they had appreciated even this, or those that won before? Did we ask them how they felt about being considered a recipient of the senior award? How did it make them feel? Did they feel sexist? Did they feel I'm just old? Right. So how, have we done any of that yet, or?
Shelley, through you, and I think you're using the word sexist as opposed to ageist.
Ageist, sorry.
It's ageist.
I apologize, yeah.
Good. So we're clear talking about what is relevant here. So Shelley?
So through Mr. Chair, couple of answers for you. And so working on the back end of the awards and going through the nominations and things like that, because sometimes nominators send in a nomination and the nominee doesn't know that they've been nominated. I have had many, how to quantify the many, I can't really, but many conversations with some people who would have been eligible to have been nominated for the senior award because of their age, and either their spouse or whoever was nominating them didn't want them in that award. And so I've had those conversations where people, well, I don't know who to nominate Patricia for. She's done A, B, and C. Should I put her in the senior award because of age, or should it go here and there? So I have had, since this started organically, those conversations where some people don't want to be seen or in that category. So that's one facet of it. The other facet, it did come up organically within our overall feedback in going through the nominations. And when you really look at the definition of it and putting the whole context together in the bigger subject, I don't see a strong defendability with the way it has been worded, because it does come down to the age. But then flip the coin on another path. If there were seniors in other categories, which there were, well, just based on who I know over 55, their efforts may not have been recognized. Let's say last year's award recipient for the inclusivity, I believe, would and could have also been nominated in the senior award, but their nomination was in the inclusivity award and was recognized in that. So it came down to how general the senior award is, but I also see a little bit of a lack of defendability in that pillar that it's been put in.
Can I
Cindy,
make
you
a
have other-
comment? I'd
Can I
just like
just-
to make, oh, go ahead.
Just Fiona has a little bit of time to do this, so I'm just keeping track of that. So Fiona, do you have any other follow-up on this before we'll come back a second time if you like? Okay. Yes, thanks. You have the floor.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to make a comment that maybe instead of, posing something like that as senior, much like the youth award where we're encouraging behavior of people maybe who are, younger, new to the community, we could look at it as something as a lifetime achievement award for residents who have contributed to Aurora 25 years plus, or, set some sort of a benchmark there. That's another consideration without calling out age specifically.
I agree.
Okay, let's get some comments from around. Shelley, do you want to comment on that? Because you may have some intel on that would shorten it up, but then I'll recognize both Diane and then Pat.
So through you, Mr. Chair. So ironically, in 2022, so last year, was actually the first time the mayor's office decided to offer a Lifetime Achievement Award. And the trajectory of that one is that at the end of each term of council, there would be one Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. So that would happen every 4 years. However, there's also, so this committee is charged with the tasks of looking over these approximate 9 awards. There is also another committee outside of ours for the Citizen of the Year award. And so what you described could also be fitting for the Citizen of the Year award, because usually those recipients have just done so much beyond some of the scopes of these awards. So there is a Lifetime Achievement Award administered by the mayor's office once every 4 years. And it's targeted to be the end of the term of council.
So the name has already been used in one of our awards as opposed to trying something called a Lifetime Achievement Award annually through this committee. So unless we get some changes on that, then we can't use that name, but it doesn't mean we can't change the name, I suppose. But I just wanted to ask that question of you. So that's not possible to use Lifetime Achievement right now, but if we choose to do something, we can go ahead and do that. Okay, thank you. Diane.
Shelley said it all for it. Thank you.
Okay, asked and answered. Patricia.
Elaine, or rather Glenda, I think it was, it said, and through you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Those were exactly my thoughts in taking out the senior award. Maybe if the whole committee was in agreement, would be to recommend to council that they change their Lifetime Achievement Award from once every term to once a year, which in effect, so we're not changing the name of the senior award. We're just archiving the senior award, to use Shelley's term, but then we're asking council to consider making the Lifetime Achievement Award every year. Certainly, there's enough people in this town who are deserving that you probably have way more nominations even for that time frame. And that would address somebody who, and you wouldn't have to be a senior, but most likely people that are nominated for a Lifetime Achievement Award may be a senior, and they could nominate them anyway. So, and again, a Lifetime Achievement Award isn't category specific, like the senior award isn't category specific. Anyway, so that would, to me, that makes a whole lot more sense.
Other comments?
I sort of agree. I'm agreeing with you on that. And I think,
Shelley, what I heard, if we just unpack what was here, we're feeling uncomfortable about removing an award that is targeting those people who are more experienced and have long time contributions to the community, as seniors typically are. I mean, the notion, I guess, is here is that senior just means you're pegged as a certain age, as opposed to this one is you not only you don't have to be of a certain age, you just have to have a lifetime of experience where you've contributed. And so it'll be up to this committee to decide whether it's significant enough or to be able to discern between the nominations that come in. Is that what is a kind of a summary here with what people have said? So my question then, Shelley, is the process that we must use to go forward to identify in the mayor's office that this Lifetime Achievement Award is no longer going to be a once every 4 years, it's going to be an annual award. And we'll have to have approval of that before we go forward. And I would prefer not to just send that in comments from this committee, but actually pursue that with the mayor's office so that we know what the decision may be from that office. Can you give me some advice on that?
Through you, a couple things. Part of my answer will have to defer to Jacqueline. If we were to go down this road, so changes to the core awards goes through a council report to council to decide. Because this committee is charged with this award menu, not with the other, this is the part that I have to defer to Jacqueline. But I also wanted to, in absorbing what everyone said, it would be hard unless we can define what a Lifetime Achievement Award recipient is and how it differs from a Citizen of the Year, because I was rereading the Citizen of the Year nomination. It's differentiating first between the two. I think we would have to have a clear vision about that. But thirdly, because Fiona mentioned something about renaming. So if we do archive the senior award, based on this, the context, is it an option to consider an Outstanding Achievement Award, replacing the senior award, keeping the Lifetime Achievement intact on a term submission? But because the Lifetime Achievement Award isn't part of this committee's purview, that's the portion of my question I have to defer to Jacqueline.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, the Citizen of the Year award is pretty much an internal process through the mayor's office. So to the best of my knowledge, it does not go through council for any type of approval, but I could follow up with that information.
Other comments from people? And don't feel you're pressured on it. You want to think for a moment. It's okay, because my concern on this right now is that we're eliminating an award, although it's not been something that's been traditionally around. But I don't like the message necessarily that it's saying that we're taking a seniors award out, and I'd hate for it to be considered that we're we're removing award because the contribution of seniors don't matter. And I understand the ageist comments as well. So I'm just trying to be cautious about doing something such as that. Patricia, and then Fiona.
I agree that that is a risk, that there might be a negative look to that. And when looking at the whole nomination forms as a whole, the paragraphs were rewritten to say regardless of age. In other words, to make it sound more inclusive of every age, except for you. And it certainly may be in marketing. I don't know how to finish my sentence. I get what you're saying. But there's two sides to that. Is, do we leave it and appear ageist? Or do we take it out and appear not caring about seniors, which is totally not the point.
Sure.
The point is caring about seniors are as viable and as a contributing member, and in many cases more so than any age younger than them. And I don't think it's fair to put seniors in a category where only they can compete. If you're saying, I as a senior, sadly I am, cannot compete in one of the other categories because I don't do enough for whatever the other categories, but I can compete in the senior. I think that that's degrading to the senior. And I think the message that we're trying to get out here is that as a senior, you are eligible for everything any other person is. It's not about your age. Thank you.
I know. No,
That made any sense.
I appreciate what you say. This is really about a feeling and about the optics of what's being done
Yes.
and the expression of what's being done and the rationale for it, as opposed to trying to eliminate anybody or remove the recognition for seniors. So Fiona, you have another comment?
Yes,
up.
so the example that you just gave, Patricia just gave, I can't see how we make it any different. Oh, sorry, I'm turning my back to the people on the screen. Sorry. I can't see how it made any difference to a youth, because a youth can and should be able to can be Citizen of the Year, because what someone does is not about how long they've been doing it, but also the impact. It's not always about the quality, we would say quantity or quality, right? So if we're going to say it's ageist, then yes, it's also ageist to say youth, because youth can get any award as well, because they're youth that doing more excellent things than anybody in their 30s, 40s, whatever. So again, I feel that because I'm big for grandparents and grandparents raised me, and they also should have better criteria to make things maybe even easier for them. Criteria, maybe they're the grandparents of the community. I don't know, but these are deep-rooted people in Aurora. Aurora is more seniors, if you ask me, right? So there's a lot of deep-root history of the mature adults in our community that it should not be replaced. It should be redefined, re-examined, maybe create a Stellar Award. I don't know what a Stellar Award is, but something that is really prestige. The Queen Elizabeth Award, I don't know, but something that can add some kind of royalty to why they are getting this. Of course, royalty, don't say queen, because well, we're not the king now, you know what I mean? But something that really make, I just don't think it should go away. And that with that reason, to say it's because of age, when probably just needs to redefined, just look at how the name is worded, because maybe some people are sensitive around the word being called senior. I don't know if that's what it is, or change the age, because I don't think seniors are 55 anymore. I'm sorry, I have a 94-year-old walking into my place on their iPhone that I can't use. So probably, so anyway, that's my thoughts. I think it's really important to have it, but yeah.
Other comments here?
I just had one other thought. If we were wanting to preserve, the respect for seniors, maybe we could take a different lens on this award and have something like, citizen who made an impact in the senior committee. community. So who made an impact in the senior community? That could be a senior, it could be really anybody, still open to anybody, but somebody who's out there impacting and helping senior community grow and be seen.
Yeah.
Just an idea, like throwing out ideas.
Okay, no, thank you. Noted. Tricia, comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Glenda, the working group did talk about that, and that was one of the problems with the senior award, was that there was no criteria. Was the senior award people giving services or doing things to better help the senior community, or did they themselves have to be a senior? So to Fiona's point and to your point, Glenda, the way it sits right now, it's wide open. It means nothing really in definition. And so other than being an age. So if you were redefining it, and but it doesn't go to to do that does not go to your point, Fiona, where you want to recognize the senior, where Glenda's saying recognize someone who does things for seniors, but they don't have to be 55. I would be okay with that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a tough one.
Thank you. Shelley, could I ask you to give us repeat again the eligibility requirements for the seniors award so that we're clear about it? Because I wrote down here also the eligibility, because if it's too broad and it's not focused on what we're trying to achieve with the seniors award, maybe that's the reason why it doesn't have the cachet that it should. So maybe we need to look at the eligibility requirements so that it's really clear that this is somebody who is a senior and who has contributed towards the impact of the quality of life in seniors and in the community, et cetera, that kind of thing. So could you read it for us all?
So through you, Mr. Chair, so the Senior Volunteer Award. This award is presented to a senior who is 55 years of age or older, who through their volunteer efforts has made a significant contribution to the community and has demonstrated their commitment to being a positive leader today and in the future.
So just the way my head works, we do have the eligibility in there in terms of the age, 55 or over. It doesn't eliminate them from being a recipient of any other award. So it's not exclusive that way. The only exclusivity here is that you have to be 55 years of age or over. And then the rest of it falls out having to do with impact in the community, and they also have to be a volunteer. They can't be a paid employee. That's what that says, and volunteer.
Yeah.
More comments?
Wonder if leaving the award in, as I'm thinking about it, but rewording it in such a way, I don't know what you say, longstanding resident or something. It doesn't have to say senior, if that's what we want to remove. You know, like I've had the Citizen of the Year award, but I've also been here in Aurora 50 years and I'm volunteer. So I don't know the best way to pull it around. It just, I know I questioned it at the time when I was thinking of the elimination, but I don't particularly like eliminating categories in a sense, because we do have the youth. And there's a lot of seniors, when they retire, do a lot more work in the community.
Mm.
You know, because they're at home, for one thing.
I think I saw a comment pop up in the chat box, but I just glimpsed it quickly and I don't have the right glasses to be able to do that. So can you, Jacqueline, can you tell us what is in the chat?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, Elaine, if you want to speak to this, she posted, this would exclude us as a committee.
As some of us are
Elaine, can you add?
seniors, as some of us are seniors on this committee, and you're referring to volunteer and helping out in the community and on committees for the community, we are excluded from that category or any categories, being a committee for the town were excluded from being nominated or awarded things.
I think that's incorrect, but I'm going to ask Shelley to give me the information about that so I can refer it to you, Shelley.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, anybody in this room could be nominated for an award or be an affiliate to an award. I will give a specific example, which I think is a comfortable one in here. A few years ago, Theodore Aurora was nominated for the Arts and Culture Award. And so I believe Joanne Spitzer, through her affiliations, recused herself. So in that sense, you, as a committee member, you would not be participating in the review of that specific category.
So what Shelley is basically saying, that anybody in this committee can recuse themselves because they have an interest, not necessarily a pecuniary, but another type of interest that you choose to take yourself away from the conversation and the vote.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shelley. Other comments? See, we have the recommendations to this committee, and then what happens from here is comments are going to be shared to council on this. And so a comment would be that the Community Recognition Advisory Committee, the awards category be received. So these comments are that we're going to eliminate the volunteer, senior volunteer award, and we're going to make these adjustments on the nomination form, which we can get to in a moment. But I think the biggest one here is what comments do we wish to have go forward to council out of this committee for their consideration. And as it stands right now, if we vote on this, then we're asking the council to remove the senior volunteer award for the reasons that are in here. And it will be up to council to decide whether they choose to do that or do not choose to do that. So since we're having a very interesting conversation about here, and I appreciate it, that's what these committees are all about, is to get all of the information up on the table and make sure that the comments that are sent to the to council are an accurate reflection of what we believe, so they will take that forward and either approve it or not approve that. So I'm open for a little bit more in-depth discussion on this because the comments that we have, and Jacqueline, maybe you can help us with it to make sure that those comments are very clear and accurate that are going forward to council. Could you summarize those for us now?
Yes, so I'll just clarify for you, through you, Mr. Chair. What will happen today is your minutes are always very high level without noting comment. So your minutes will have different themes in them where we discuss the award activity regarding the senior award in previous years, opportunities to refresh the category instead of removal. We discuss the Citizen of the Year versus a Lifetime Achievement Award. We also discussed how this could be viewed as an ageist decision. And then we also discussed how seniors could be included in every other award apart from the youth award. And then we also discussed how it's very important to have an award for seniors in our community. And then basically these specific comments that you've talked about today and sort of your thought process will be captured by Shelley and any other staff members who are crafting the report to general committee.
Patricia, thank you, Jack.
I don't think I understood that we were recommending replacing the Citizen of the Year with Lifetime Achievement. Is that what we were? I don't think that's what I was saying. Did I hear you say that, Jacqueline?
For you, Jack.
No, through you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just capturing the comments that the committee has gone through today throughout the meeting.
I didn't.
And one of them being a Lifetime Achievement Award versus the Citizen of the Year. We discussed how those two were compared to each other and how they would be a little bit similar.
Lifetime Achievement versus Senior Award. That's
Okay.
kind of.
I think we were also said that we think the lifetime achievement should appear every year instead of every 4 years.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was a
that
That was the
recommendation.
main thing that was said, I think.
And that would be the rationale for the removal of the annual seniors award, replacing a lifetime achievement award. That's what I recall.
Mr. Chair, I don't, since we can't make votes here or send recommendations, only comments, is it appropriate to send to council or general committee? We've been considering this or this or this. You make up, like, obviously we have, I think we're all in support of one or the other or a combination, but these seem to be solutions to this issue that we've all identified. And here are some solutions. Which would you like? Is that an appropriate approach?
Let me ask Jacqueline about the approach. I have my own comments, but she may have the legal and the bylaw one. So thank you.
So through you, Mr. Chair, you can include as many options as you'd like to Shelley as staff. And then typically what happens is staff provides one recommendation to council. And at the end of their report, there's a section that says alternate recommendations or something along the lines of that. And that would outline the different decisions that they could make that staff have outlined for them. And then on top of that, council can add anything they'd like to their decisions. So the typical process would be that staff would choose one that they thought was the best, that encapsulated everything that council had said and everything that the committee had said, and then they could go forward from there.
I see, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the process beyond that is that the minutes will come back to this committee for accuracy, because we don't want to send anything to council without having it vetted here to make sure that it's accurate, correct?
So through you, Mr. Chair, they do go straight to general committee before they're approved at this next meeting, which is why the chair and staff review them before
Okay.
they go on to general committee meeting agenda. So they will probably go to general committee before we meet again.
My question then is to Shelley. Shelley, do you believe, as the person who's creating the staff report, that you have adequate information to be able to put forth the accurate comments that have come out of here with a recommendation?
Through you, Chair, in knowing the process and where this goes and where it goes to council and the process there, I do believe I have the right information to write that report, to give council the tools they need to decide ultimately where this what happens of this.
So let's ask, and I don't want to put you right on the spot right now, but I guess I am, because that report is going to be pulling all of this together. What do you believe the proper recommendation will be from staff based upon the input of the committee to go forward to council after it's seen by me?
Through you, Mr. Chair. With not a lot to pull this together at this very second, if I were to have to write it right now on the spot, I would outline in the background where we got to this stage, and that the problem comes down to the ageist side of it. And I would probably come up with a refresh to the award that addresses the ageist section of it, but then an alternative recommendations. Council can keep the award as is. Council can choose another. There would be a whole host of other options. One option will always be council can, not do anything, keep it as is. But I think the real core of this comes down to the age parameter of it, as well as the calling out of senior. So at this very second, I would probably look at a refresh. So perception is saved in terms of it being eliminated, but making it more defendable, because the way it's written is very open-ended.
So your suggestion would be that this committee would make a comment that we believe that the Senior Volunteer Award remains, but it remains with changes to both eligibility and description of the award.
With greater defendability.
Greater defendability vis-a-vis the ageist comments that have been made. Okay. And Patricia, we do have to vote, and we vote on whether these comments are correct and accurate so that Jacqueline can put them in. So we do have some voting power on here. We can't just have comments and then leave them out. We have to we have to approve that those comments are going forward. So let's not shut it off unless we need to shut it off. I'm happy to shut it off if we've exhausted it, but it's a rich conversation. It's an important conversation. And we ought to make sure we have all the input from the committee that we have to be able to make these comments officially. Because I'll call the vote in about 2 minutes if I don't receive any more that are interesting, need to be included. Can I ask one other question though, Shelley, before we leave? Because I think it may get at the heart of why we have 2 or 3 people versus 30 people. The recruitment of this is through the traditional means, or do we target areas such as the Aurora Seniors Association that have numerous seniors who participate that? Can you refresh us on how the recruitment process goes to include nominations?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So as this is community awards, the very first recruitment onus is on the community for nominations because it's a community recognition tool on the basis of the community's engagement. However, staff are aware that additional efforts and approaches are required. So staff do and will continue to, regardless how this plays, will still continue to reach out to the Aurora Senior Centers Association, the board of directors. We usually do a presentation or at least attend a board meeting to educate them on all the categories, as well as we do reach out to specific organizations such as Chats, such as Chartwell, such as Sunrise. I don't want to say we do a perfect, flawless job, but those are all on our delegation list where they do get a personal contact from us, not just an email, here's the awards, but efforts are made for the one-on-one dialogue. Because emails get lost, there's a lot of information, so we try to have that one-on-one. And quite often, for instance, with the Seniors Association, quite often they actually send in nominations for the Arts and Culture Award. Like it's not always that one specific, but outreach efforts for all of these awards within where you would think the niche categories are is being done and will continue to be done.
Thank you. 30 seconds, and then I'm going to call the vote. Any last minute discussions, comments? Hearing no more, then I'll call the vote. And this is a vote again, is to receive the comments, receive the report, and have those comments forward. I want to thank everybody for the input that you've had. So let me, if there's no more comments, let me call the vote. So all in favor? People on the. So we have, pardon me? Elaine, can you hear? I've called the
Yep.
vote. Are you in favor?
No.
No?
Linda was.
Glenda, you had your hand up in favor? Yes? In the room, all in favor?
What are we all in favor in? Sorry, what are we all in favor in to send the
We're in
report?
favor of receiving the report, then
Oh.
receiving the comments, and making those comments go forward regarding this issue as Shelley has identified. Because
That-
again,
I
we
vote-
don't make recommendations, so
I
Did she
apologize.
understand it?
I am in favor.
you are in favor then? Okay, so Elaine's in
Yes, I
favor.
apologize. I misunderstood.
I thought
Thank
I
you.
needed-
Again, committees like this are not allowed to make recommendation to council. What they do is they receive the report. We do all the vetting of the information. They receive the comments. And between now and the report that goes to the council, Shelley will parse out the information. But as she said here, we're not eliminating the category. According to what I heard, we're simply revising and changing it. So the report had to suggested to eliminate it. But the elimination of that is not something that this committee is making comments on. What we're talking about is removing the ageist characteristics and increasing the scope of it, or being more accurate about the scope of the award. So that's what is on the table. So with that understanding, let me call that vote again. We still have the vote with Elaine. Elaine, can you just say yes or no? Linda, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Fiona? Yes?
Yeah.
Joanne?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Anything other informational items do we need to put forward today? Nothing on the horizon about this. We're all focused on this right at the moment. Okay.
Chair, can I just ask, do you think of how late the meeting will go? I have another appointment. I might have to leave at 11:45.
We're just going to new business right now, which is kind of the end. So we're very close. We're less than 5 minutes if all goes well.
Okay, no, just wondered that. So,
Is there any new business? Fiona?
So I'm not sure if it's new business, but I wasn't here the last time and I didn't bring it up to Shelley before. So in terms of the form and in terms of how we create the team, the committees, those are something that I wanted to address or speak on.
Great. That can be put under new business for the next meeting. So Shelley, are you clear on what Fiona is asking?
No. So sorry, do I just explain what to be on it?
Sure.
So under new business, I would love for us to discuss, so on the form, if we're going to, again, be salient with diversity and make sure that the people that are getting nominated is really reflecting the growth and the diversity of their community. The form, we looking for us to discuss how to get either background story of the nominees where people can provide or discuss the unique background and culture of that person, or where people can say, I am visible minority, I'm Indigenous, I'm Black, I choose not to answer, because otherwise we will not have what we see last year was not a reflection of our community. And that's not showing growth, if you ask from where I sit. And also I wanted to find out in the same category, what is the hiring practice of the town? And if that same hiring practice is used when selecting community members. So for example, as brought up before, this team who is working with an entire community is not diverse. We're not a diverse team. And because we're not a diverse team, I'm concerned about affinity bias, where we're picking according to who we like or similar personality or common names and familiarity. So those are something that I would love for us to look at, and how long one person can continue to be on the same committee where we can get rotation, or so those were what I was asking about the last time.
Sure. So the terms of reference of the committee.
Yeah, it's for that, but I good.
Form that is used has no indicator of diversity.
Yes.
And we'll have to check that through legal. There are things that you can and you cannot, should not include on one of these so-called applications or nominations forms. So make sure that Shelley will look into that with legal. Make sure that it's fair, equitable, and also reflects what your interests are. And then the next one was with the formation of the committee itself. So the nomination for the committee, and that'll come up in the next within next 2 years, because the bylaw says that these committees can be reformed after 2 years. So that has to be put on the front burner.
Can I make a suggestion,
Indeed.
Mr. Chairman? Hi, something I was just thinking when Fiona was mentioning that is perhaps through the nomination process, whoever internally is receiving it, they could redact identifying things like names, the name of the business and such, so that when we as a committee are reviewing the nominations, we're able to look at it through the lens of just the action.
Fair enough.
Just-
Good comment.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you. You have a comment, Shelley?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So Glenda, I've made note of that. That suggestion can apply to some categories, but not all categories, such as like good business, community leadership. So for instance, community leadership could be, or community safety could be the Central York girls hockey who won it this past year. I couldn't redact that because the whole nomination is based on the identity of that, but could redact senior, youth, good neighbor. So it couldn't, I don't think it could be a consistent redactment, if that's a word.
Right. So what we're asking for is a report back on that vis-a-vis diversity in both the nomination of the committee and the nomination the nomination of recipients. So we'll get a report back on that. Thank you. Any other new business? Thanks, Fiona. Hearing none, we'll call for an adjournment. Joanne, would you like to make the motion to adjourn?
The motion to adjourn.
Seconder? Fiona? All in favor? We're finished.